He's going to turn, give off to Jonathan Taylor. Stood up at the 1, falls forward. There's 5 of them. Number 5, Jonathan Taylor has failed the end zone 5 times in the game, and the Colts have 6 more on the board. It is 37-7.
Whoa! Joey Lawrence and Blossom. Whoa! Matt Taylor. Rick Venturi, the call for WFNI. Jonathan Taylor set a franchise record with 5 touchdowns. And he took over the NFL lead in both yards rushing and TDs. And the Colts rout the spiraling Buffalo Bills 41-15 in Orchard Park. It doesn't matter anymore, but it was in Buffalo. You should know that. Shooky, we welcome him aboard now. The Pipe joins us. The Colts looked like the better team from the kickoff in this game, and Jonathan Taylor has just entered into the MVP chat. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I mean, you're the rushing leader, and you're doing it with emphasis, and I think no more emphatic than this game today. And, the Colts, they got off the bus ready to play. And it was clear in their first drive. They went 11 plays for 65 yards, capped it with a Taylor touchdown. They get a turnover. They turn that into another touchdown via a pass. They punched the Bills in the mouth. They proved to them that going to Orchard Park did not scare them. Playing in inclement weather did not scare them because they have right now the NFL's best running back in terms of overall rushing yards in Jonathan Taylor, who was the engine that powered them offensively with his 5 touchdowns. And really, the Bills had no answer. I mean, for the entire game, they had no answer. It's not even that their offense couldn't keep up. Defensively, they could not stop Jonathan Taylor, who has been this type of running back for a lot of this year, but we aren't going to look at his season and think of a game quicker than this one because of how he did it. He ripped off long runs. He scored in goal-to-go situations. He caught passes. He did everything that was asked of him. It's the next step in what I think is a progression in his career. It's still very early, of course, but it started in the second half of last year where he started to build this positive momentum. He's carried it over into this year, and he's developed himself more as a back. He's not just a downhill runner who's capable of ripping off a long run. He's a guy you have to account for on every down, and the Bills simply did not do that defensively today. Josh Allen also had a rough day, a couple interceptions that were ugly, and they had no answer for them when they had the ball, and that's how you get a blowout.
I mean, to Dan's question, and this is more about the Bills and their up and down struggles on offense, but wouldn't you say that Jonathan Taylor hopscotched Josh Allen in the MVP race?
Yeah, it's funny because they opened the broadcast in CBS waxing poetic almost about how Josh Allen is a legitimate MVP candidate and he's the reason that the Bills are where they are right now. And frankly, I think the Bills have relied on him too much to this point. And they couldn't rely on him very much.
It's not true, though. Not that he's been bad, but he has not been a top 5 quarterback this year.
What are we talking about?
He's been good. He's been a good quarterback who had a bad game, but at no point is he an MVP candidate to me.
Carson Wentz, by the way, throws for 106 yards in this game, and that's all right because when you have Taylor going off the way that he did and the defense playing as well as they did, it doesn't matter. I thought a turning point in the game, Shook, or maybe just kind of a, whoa, where are we at right now? Because remember, the Bills were slumping on offense leading into Week 10 and then beat up the Jets, who are a joke. And now they go up against good competition again, and we see what happens here. And there was a moment in the third quarter. They're down multiple scores. They're facing a fourth and about around 6, if I recall. And they opt for a long, I think 55 in that range, yard field goal attempt over going for it, which predictably goes horribly awry. And then the Colts go right down the field and score and end the game. I mean, that to me really spoke a lot about both teams.
Yeah, first off, not a confidence in the Bills offense to be able to convert that fourth down, but also Tyler Bass's second missed field goal of the day. Like I said, inclement weather, so it wasn't the best situation for them, but you know how a game can go your way in a number of different ways. Carson Wentz had a nice play where he scrambled. He looked like vintage Carson Wentz before everything that he's dealt with in the last few years. It can also go awry for another team, and it was like that for the Bills with even in their kicking situation where they just had no confidence in what they were doing and knew they were getting bullied on the field and just capped a terrible day for them. That's got to make their fans think, because 2 weeks ago, they lose that game to Jacksonville, and it's like, what is going on with the Bills? Then they come back, like you said, dominate the Jets. I think they're back to where they were against Jacksonville. What is wrong with our team? Why can't we put up the points that we were capable of putting up? And why can't we get a stop? So kind of a soul-searching week, I think, ahead for the Bills.
Well, plus inclement weather is something that's going to be happening in Buffalo. So it's like if you're not built
they should
for
be
that,
built exactly. They should be constructed to
and
deal
I
with
think
that.
they'll be fine. But them beating Kansas City so badly to get to 4-1, and now we're sitting here with them at 6-4 is one of the most surprising things to happen in this entire NFL season. I know there's a lot of like up is down, down is up in the NFL, but them hitting the skids this hard is shocking to me. I don't think it's quite as shocking that Mark's Colts, he spun the wheel and it decided which fan he was going to be for the rest of the time.
Have they lost since?
And he said he wasn't interested in them, that they were boring, that he has to be convinced. And yet here they are. Whether they are a big-time playoff team or not, they are going to be in the center of the rest of this season. Not only are they 6-5, but they got the Bucs next week. They got the Patriots at home coming up. They're at Arizona, so there's just going to be like a lot of big-time games involving the Colts.
Can I respond?
Down the stretch. Yes. Please.
My response, I f***ed up. Because, first of all, I already said on our network show a couple weeks ago that I was wrong about this. The Colts,
good for you!
The Colts are good. Okay, they're good. They've scored under 25 points once since week 3. And what we thought about Indianapolis in the offseason was not even this. This is superseding what we hoped maybe you could accomplish with Carson Wentz. We knew Jonathan Taylor was good. We knew the defense was good. They're rounding into something completely different. And for everyone tweeting me about like some quote I made about the Colts 35 days ago, I've already told you I was wrong.
So
it's one of 800 things I'm wrong
the
about.
Network show, they don't know that.
Well, in general, I'm telling you right now.
You have to, because the podcast is canon. So if you say it on the TV show, that's good, but you have to come back and
that's
say
like
it on this
extended
program.
universe.
Yes.
Right.
Good vibes too. I watched like the very long like hype speech and the celebrations afterwards, and I loved the moment when T.Y. Hilton gave his coach some love.
He always
Mark,
He got us ready. He got us prepared to kick that ass. So this game ball is for our head coach.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good head coach.
I gotta defend you. I gotta defend Mark real quick. They haven't beaten a team that was of legitimate quality until today.
They didn't have a win against the team with a winning record till today.
That's fine. They blew big leads against the Titans and the
Ravens,
Ravens, but they're solid.
They're good. All right, so the Colts are surging. Getting into that division race, not completely out of the picture either, but they still have a long hill to climb there. But they're certainly in the playoff mix and a dangerous team because Taylor is magnificent. Let's move on.
They're going to direct snap the ball to Jarvis Landry. Landry's going to roll to the left. He's looking, he's coming, and he's going to run. 10, 5, he's driving in. Touchdown! Jarvis Landry, his first touchdown of the year.
There you go, Brownies. Jim Donovan with the call, WKRK. You gotta win there. Jarvis Landry scored from 16 yards out. Nick Chubb loudly announced his return with 130 ground yards and a receiving score. The Browns edged past the winless Lions 13-10 at the Dog Pound. Shooky, this by the final score and highlights, just didn't seem pretty, but the Browns stopped the bleeding after last week's unsightly setback in Foxborough.
Yeah, I think that touchdown that we just played kind of captured exactly where the Browns' offense is right now. And they have to resort to putting Jarvis Landry in the shotgun and then just let him freelance and find an open field in the middle to rush for a touchdown. I mean, they don't have any rhythm offensively, and I think today, frankly, they probably lose to 29 of the 32 teams in the NFL with the way they played. There's two teams they beat in this type of game. It's Detroit and it's Jacksonville. They got a lot of work to do. I don't really know where the answers are. Their offense is a mess. Baker Mayfield does not look good because of his injuries and whatever else. But they were lucky to have Nick Chubb back. 22 carries, 130 yards. He was able to pace the offense and then close the game out in a tight one. But you can't feel too confident other than the fact that you added another tally to the win column, and they all count the same. So you're 6-5, and you move forward from here.
So you've got, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you've got at this stage the most critical juncture in your season. You've got the Ravens, a much-needed bye week to get some people healthy, and then the Ravens again. So 3 weeks from now, we're going to know basically what this team's all about. I think they are impossible to figure out, other than the fact that I sit on the fact that they are an average team that cannot get out of their own way. And yes, it's injuries for Baker Mayfield, but I see a lot of other things going on with him. I was watching this out of the corner of my eye, and honestly, it was one of my more enjoyable Sundays not to fully ride the journey.
Mark was really in a good mood
well,
all
I'm
Sunday.
this week. I will wait until they are vaguely enjoyable again. But Shook, I'm not trying to be talk radio person, but if this is the Baker we get from now till the end of the season, injuries or not, does it maybe operate as a blessing in disguise for the front office? They have this incredibly tough decision coming up where this extension talk makes no sense at this point.
But
He's not earned an extension.
Right, but to me, the decision's so easy. They have no decision to make. They're not going to give him an
Well,
extension.
he did ask
this
Shook the
offseason.
question, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, no, you're right.
It is a question in
option.
Cleveland. No one's saying that they don't have
Absolutely.
no decision to make. That's not true.
No, absolutely. You know, I get texts from, friends who are Browns fans. Chuck Whitlock, who is one of our former researchers of the network. He's moved on since then. He's an avid Browns fan. He texts me every Sunday, and he told me the same thing, which is basically, we got to move on. Like this guy's not the guy.
But
and they're
by
lucky that
decision,
he's
you
not
mean
the
get rid of
extension.
him this offseason because he's under
No.
contract for a very cheap number next year.
No, but Greg,
No,
the
you
thing
ride
is,
it out.
Greg, it's not that no one's talked about what to do with Baker Mayfield long term because they have the 5th year. I'm with you, but it's not a great situation for Baker Mayfield either. It's not a great look optics-wise to
Well,
just.
he didn't talk to the media. Mary Kay Cabot said nothing in particular happened to cause that. He was booed aggressively, so maybe he was in his feelings. Who knows? You don't want to guess why he didn't talk to the media, but he kind of apparently walked off the field, didn't celebrate, didn't shake any hands.
It seems like if you kind of read between
Messy.
the lines, if you're tracking the team, he's dreadfully beat up. He has all different sorts of injuries to his knee, his left shoulder, his foot, and he's getting booed in his own building, and there's probably a lot of frustration. Now, we'll see if it was simply out of frustration that he didn't talk, because that's not the right way to play it either, because you just invite the firestorm of everyone to talk about you, talking heads, debating your future. It just adds more fuel to the fire. That said, I think it's notable what I'm hearing from both Shook and Mark, for the first time, Browns fans starting to grapple with the idea that maybe Mayfield isn't the guy going forward, because I haven't really heard that from Browns fans till this point. So it feels like things are starting to shift a little bit.
That's
now.
maybe more what I mean too. Just that, they can figure this out, but there's a polar shift for me in terms of the Mayfield experience over the last couple of weeks. And just one off season with a bunch of glowing reports about, hey, they're back in sync, is not going to do it. They've got questions.
Right. My thing with talking about the future is, now's the team that they're trying to win a Super Bowl with right now. That's what they got to be.
Good luck with that,
worried
Joan
about.
of Arc. That's not happening with this team right now.
They're 6-5. I know, but there's 6 games left of the season. There's a lot to go.
Anything could happen.
Right, and even when you're thinking about next year, would they there's no way he's getting extension this offseason. Is there any chance that they would move off of him this year? Maybe, because they have a piece that you could get involved in of Russell Wilson
Let's
or
see
Rodgers
how the season plays out,
it's such a long way to go.
Because they do get a bye. There's still a lot of football. The AFC is wide open. We've seen the Browns in their top gear, even when they're not consistent. They were really impressive when they're playing well. But right now, there's a lot of doubt around the organization, and I see how it's starting to, the quarterback situation is back under the microscope again.
Also, my Tim Boyle could win a game on Thanksgiving prediction is not looking good with 77 yards and two interceptions.
I mean, if Chicago's...
How do you only win by 3 when Tim Boyle had 77 yards and 2 interceptions, Nick?
If Chicago's plane goes the direction of Amelia Earhart's plane, that's your Tim Boyle victory, Greg.
I mean, is anyone I know it's a very unpopular take. Is anyone going to start coming to my side and take Thanksgiving away from the Lions for just a little bit?
I'm
take
with
the
you.
keys away.
Let's see what they do. Maybe they'll surprise
Ground
us.
them like
Yeah.
a teenager. We'll give you the keys back to the 94 Civic, but you just got to chill, get better.
You're not
Anyway.
getting the keys back either.
All right, one more game before we say goodbye to Shook. Let's head to the desert.
3rd down and goal from the 6. Shotgun snap. Burrow from the pocket. Throws toward the back. Left corner of the end zone. Caught by Chase. Touchdown.
Oh, it was the Crossroads game on the 2021 NFL schedule. The Cincinnati Bengals, they were heading down. The Raiders, they were heading down. There was a fork in the road. The crossroads were there, and only one team could take the correct path, and it was the Cincinnati Bengals. The killer combination of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase strike again. The pair connected for the clinching touchdown in the 4th quarter. It was a 29-13 win over the fading Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Allegiant? I don't even know what that word means. Joe Mixon added 2 touchdowns as well, and what's been an excellent season for the halfback. Shook, this is a much-needed win for Cincinnati that puts them on the right path. And like I said, crossroads. The Raiders just turned down a dark road.
Yeah, huge crossroads for the Bengals coming off that blowout loss to the Browns going into the bye week. And they spent that bye week very productively, evidently, based on how they played on Sunday. I mean, their defense was stellar for the majority of the game. They only gave up one significant – yeah, one of them – they only gave up one significant touchdown drive early in the fourth quarter. And then they answered. They responded with a long drive to put the game away, capped by a touchdown by Joe Mixon. It was or actually it was a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. It was a complete performance, I think. This is the Bengals team that was at the top of the AFC in October. This is how they played today. And then on the Raiders side, it's, hey, offense, wake up before the fourth quarter. Your defense is playing its tails off to keep you in the game, and you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And we've seen this too often from the Raiders, I think, which is, one game they can come out and light it up. They lit it up very early in the season, but they haven't played complimentary football for the entire season. And that's ultimately what sank them today. And you have to wonder, the Bisaccia, the boost from going to interim head coach, that's long gone now. Right. And you just got, the bump. That's what it is. I don't know if bump was positive or negative connotation.
Right. I'll show you a bump.
The Bisaccia bump. They took a few bumps and not the good kind on Sunday.
Yeah, I watched this game too, Shook, and Vegas was just so flat offensively in this game.
I like a nice butt smack once in a while.
I know, but we don't talk about that.
That's not
Mark.
me
Be
today,
careful.
just to be clear.
Be careful with that. And I know they got, if you look at the box score, they got Darren Waller back involved. The loss of Henry Ruggs from a pure team perspective was a real tough blow. It just feels like this offense needs to be opened up more. Derek Carr, if you look, and I'm sure his ranking in the QB index has started to go south with this slump as well. They're just not as dynamic as they need to be, and they weren't able to hang with a Bengals team that had its own offensive problems early in this game, but Las Vegas just never was able to turn it on. That's 3 straight losses, by the way.
How about
Joe Burrow? Go ahead, Greg.
No, please. Joey B.
I mean, Joe Burrow threw for less than 150 yards. They typically lose this game, right? In a regular setting, they typically do, and they end up winning by, what was it, 19 points.
On 29 throws too. Not like that's a ton, but that's wild. And yet, the key play of the game to me was that 6-yard throw to Chase with about 5 minutes left to put them up 9, and that's a pretty throw on 3rd down. There is something to Joe Burrow, like in big moments. I know he's had some fourth-quarter interceptions, but that was a big moment, and he got it done. And how about the Eli Apple redemption tour right now? Big-time interception in a key spot. It was part of – there was a sequence here where the Raiders
I haven't been tracking that as heavily as you, Greg.
14 straight 3rd down fails. That's hard to do. 14 straight third-down failures, and the Bengals are now 1 win away from topping their over/under in Vegas.
If they won next week, they had the Steelers. If you go sweep the Steelers, they are in fantastic position, the Bengals. And you've maybe wiped away some of the questions about who are they at the basic level after a very wayward couple of weeks.
Yeah, because at that point you're, 2/3 of the way through your divisional schedule with a date with the Ravens and a date with the Browns left. I mean, you're in a great spot in a division that's very winnable. A team that many of us expected to finish last in the division is positioned right now to be in it until the end. If they play like this, they got to be a little bit better offensively. But if they can get this type of play from their defense, I mean, they're going to be a tough out no matter who they play for the remainder of the season, and very interesting to watch.
They won at one point. They lost, remember, 15 straight road games. They are 4-2 on the road. 5 of their last 7 games are at home.
Such an important win for Cincinnati, because it did feel like the storm clouds were gathering. That was an example of a perfect time for a bye. And they were able to reset things. They got this win, and now they have a big matchup against Pittsburgh next week. But now you can go into that with confidence. And if you're the Raiders, everybody's like, oh, they're doing the same thing they did last year and the year before. No, they didn't. That's different. This year is different. They collapsed in November this year. Last year and the year before it was December. So it's not the same season.
Well, they're overachieving in a weird way this time.
Right, they're ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. That's organizationally what you want to be. Shooky, you look great. You talk great, and we appreciate having you on the show every week.
I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Thanks.
There he goes, the heart of Cleveland. Nick Shook.